Hey guys, I'm Davey Wavey, creator of the gay erotic website Himeros.tv, and today I am joined by sex and intimacy coach Finn Deerhart and my best friend Matthew Thomas. And today we're talking about gay sex and, in particular, dreaming while you fuck. How exciting! Let me tell you, I can take a nap anywhere. So this is anytime, any place. Just stick a dick up my ass, and I'm out like a light. I'm being told it's not that kind of dream. Anyway, Himeros Live is sponsored by Himeros.tv. Created by Davey Wavey, Himeros.tv is a website that inspires hotter, better gay sex through explicit videos that you can apply to your life and your sex. Himeros.tv videos are designed by a team of gay sex experts to result in increased pleasure, deeper connections, and a whole lot more fun. Join the revolution at himeros.tv/pod and save 20%. Himeros.tv is like porn, but better. That one needs a little finessing. It sounded to me like a pharmaceutical commercial. It's like it results in better sex, increased intimacy. Side effects include death.
Right, side effects.
Terrifying.
Hey, I wrote it. I wrote it today, but I'm not feeling it now that I recited it. We'll revisit it. Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, there's what's going on?
It's nice that we're all back here. I feel like we have a lot to discuss. I miss the three of us being together.
Me too.
I miss doing these.
The original constellation.
Are we Orion's belt? Like, what are we? Like,
Yes.
Big Dipper?
Yes, like family constellations. It's a therapy modality.
Oh, okay. Oh, well,
You'd be like little brother. I'm not sure about Matthew.
I was about to say, what am I?
You're like my uncle. Oh no.
yeah. Sister? Big sister? I don't know. All right. Anyway. We do have a lot to discuss. Matt, I know last week you were busy planning a volunteer event, a program that you did. Do you want to tell us about that?
It's for a nonprofit organization called Lunch on Me. It was started by one of my very dear friends, Larea, in LA. She currently feeds about 10,000 people in the street community every month. Feeds them with healthy, organic, and vegan food. And she wanted to bring
10,000 a month is huge. 10,000?
It's on Skid Row. It's everyone on Skid Row.
I didn't realize it was at that scale.
Oh yeah, and I mean, she has a lot of partnerships and gets a lot of donations from a lot of big companies to help her do it. And she does it a couple times a week during the day and at night. But she wanted to bring it to the East Coast. So her best friend, Jamila, Ashley, and myself have launched it for her. So we had our second event last Saturday, and we fed about 110 people. And it was honestly a fantastic event. Everything went smoothly. It was a great experience for everyone. We got to see or meet new people that didn't volunteer with us last time. So it's really building momentum really fast. And we have some fundraising events that we've got going on this month that we're really excited about, because we're going to be doing a block party in downtown New York in May. And then we're going to do 2 more feedings this month, along with one fundraiser this month and one fundraiser next month.
Is that something that the general public can attend, or is that like an invite only thing, the block party?
No, I say the more the merrier. Please come out. We're going to need the help. I mean, the goal is to feed somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people. And I know that sounds I think it's possible. Ashley thinks it's possible. We've made the right connection. So really, we could use as much help as we can get. We had about 32 people volunteer on Saturday. And honestly, 32 people is not enough for the block party.
Where can people get info about the block party?
They could go to Lunch on Me on Instagram, and they can send a message there, or they can actually direct message me on Instagram. My Instagram name is Rivers MA. So they could always message me there, and they can get some more details.
Cool. All right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
And is
so
this
cool.
now, all of that aside, is this the same Ashley that didn't fully sign out of her Gmail account because you're popping up in our Google Hangout as Ashley?
Same exact one. I'm Ashley today, y'all.
I thought it maybe was your drag name or something. I got excited.
Big sister.
Cool. And Finn, what's new with you? You have a new book that you're working on, right?
Well, yeah, I'm working on a book proposal right now for sure. I contacted an editor and she's helping me put together a proposal. So we'll see where that goes. But writing content has been mostly stuff for Himeros this last week.
Yeah. You sent me a bunch of concepts yesterday for our upcoming Sweden project, and it's like a dissertation on gay sex.
Mhm.
It was.
Yeah.
It's good. It's dense. There was a lot to it. I think I had to read like each of the concepts, probably most of them like 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times for some of them, to like really absorb everything that was in it. Because it's a short concept, but it's meaty. It's like there's a lot of information there. And while I was doing it, I was copying and pasting quotes with Chad, my boyfriend, while I was going through it. So it was
nice.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to write.
Yeah, it seems like you had fun. I especially related to, gosh, I can't remember which video it was. Maybe it was the cuck video, the cuckold video.
Mhm.
It was there was a quote in there about open relationships that I pasted to Chad. And it said, there is a fine line between security and rigidity, as there is between flexibility and chaos. Every relationship must negotiate its own needs, wants, boundaries, and ways of holding each other closely, as well as strategic ways to manage the paradox of safety versus freedom.
Look at you. Okay, Finn.
Well, I tell you, yes, thank you.
Yeah. And that line, like walking that line between security and rigidity and flexibility and chaos, is something that, like, especially in a new relationship with Chad, like sometimes I stumble onto either side of that line, and we really rely on each other's communication to like pull us back. I had mentioned in a previous podcast, when we were in Hong Kong and I was spending too much time on Grindr and not enough time with Chad, how he kind of had to like check me. And then yet when we were in Key West, we had a threesome with that, the ship captain, and that was
ship captain.
And that was fine. So anyway.
Yeah, I love, so I've been influenced. I think we've talked about her a lot. I've been influenced heavily by Esther Perel, and she talks about those concepts a lot, and that's my synthesis of her work. But I've experienced it in my own relationship. I think we try to like lock something down to feel really safe for us, whether that's like monogamy or open relationships can also be a kind of safety, like the fear that, I'll never, I'll be so trapped that I have to always, so it's just kind of working with the paradox that can't ever be fully solved. It's a constant negotiation and just staying open and communicative.
Yeah. No, that's fun. I'm excited to film it.
I am too. That one's gonna be fun.
Yeah. And one of the concepts I also appreciate that the video opens with a quote from Finn.
Yes.
You're like a badass, like head bitch in charge when you quote yourself.
I laughed at myself when you sent me a text. I got this text. It's like, I love it when a bitch quotes herself. I just busted out laughing.
It was a good quote. Hey.
Yeah. This is why I'm putting together a book proposal.
Yeah. Love that about you. Okay.
Thank you.
So a few updates. Some more cringy than others. All right. So
cringy?
Yeah, cringy. Last week, my boyfriend was on, and he was telling us, Matt, you weren't there, but he was telling us about like this amazing threesome that he had with a bisexual guy who's in a relationship with a girl, and like how he had this like really good sex. I was jealous, not because he was having sex with someone else. I was just jealous that he was having good sex, and I was going through a little bit of a drought. Not that there's like a limited resource of good sex. Everyone can be having good sex, but I just wanted some. So my update is, over the weekend, Matt, you already know this, but Finn, this will be news to you. I hooked up with a guy that I used to hook up with in Los Angeles. Anyway, he was in town, and he's sexy and older, and he has this like giant like daddy dick that I really enjoy. And I was like so excited. We got dinner, and I was like just ready to like hop on it, and I did, and like no sooner do I get on it that he proceeds to have like explosive diarrhea.
Not while you're on it, though.
I mean, he like ran to the bathroom. Yeah.
Oh no. Well, either way.
Yeah, and he had to like take a shower. I mean, it really, and he came out, and he was like, I gotta go. He's like, I'm sick. Like,
oh no.
So obviously I felt bad for him, but I felt worse for myself because I was so goddamn blue balled.
No.
So that happened, and then
it didn't get on. Like it got on you, or like he made it to the bathroom.
No, he made it to the bathroom. Yeah, there wasn't like a whole pool party. But later on in the weekend, I was chatting with this guy who is a Marine, and he was really sexy and lived a few hours away. But he's like, you know what? Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, you seem really nice. I'm going to come to Palm Springs and we can hook up. So he was driving to Palm Springs, and it was like a 2-hour drive. So I was like, all right, I've got plenty of time for me to get ready and do my thing. Mm-hmm. And like, I mean, I guess there's no pleasant way to say it, but like, I think it was my turn to get the Montezuma's revenge. Like I douched and like it wasn't happening. And so I was like, man, this guy's driving like 2 hours to fuck me, and like I can't get fucked right now. And for a minute I was kind of like stressed and anxious about it. And then I was like, you know what? Like, this is a great opportunity to explore all those other ways to have sex and get like, you know, experimental and try things together. And actually, like, I don't think like we didn't fuck, but we did everything else. And I don't think he would have, like, there was no complaints. Like, we licked every inch of each other's bodies, and we used feathers, we used fingers, flesh jacks, blindfolds, masturbators. Like, at one point he was playing with my nipples while using the fleshlight on me, and my legs were like just spontaneously like levitating into the air, and I couldn't even control my body. Like, it was really hot. So it has a happy ending. I finally had some good sex. I know you were all tossing and turning and losing sleep over it, so that's my update.
I was concerned. I was more concerned that you're going to have Montezuma's revenge, as you call it. And we're going to hear like part 2 of that story.
Yeah. No, I'm 35. I know better than that. I don't play those games. Matt, I can tell you something you want to say.
No, I'm just listening.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I got nothing. Let's get into it. We got videos. We got questions.
We are into it. We're into it.
Okay, yes.
We are into it.
I did feel, I will say though, I felt no. Speaking of the fine line to walk, I will say that I almost felt like he knew I had a boyfriend. I told Chad that the Marine was coming. I almost felt though, like, having that kind of sex was so intimate and so unlike the way that I typically have sex, that I almost felt like I myself crossed the line, even though everyone knew what was going on. Like, it's very easy to have an open relationship when it's just kind of a pump and dump situation where it's like not connected. But when you're also being vulnerable and authentic and like really showing up and being intimate when you have sex, like, that's a new place for me to kind of figure out and negotiate. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense.
Did you communicate to him that like sex was off the table?
Are we going back to the poop?
We're going back to the poop.
I did not tell him that sex was off the table. No.
Oh, because I was thinking if you had told him that sex was off the table and here he is still staying and saying, I don't care, and having a good time with you, like, in my mind, it's like, oh, you're a little different. Like, that's kind of builds a connection right there, you know?
Yeah, I didn't want to tell him that I was like having trouble douching while he was driving up from San Diego, because I was like, oh, it's just gonna kill the mood and like set a cloud over things. And then like I was clean enough to do a lot of other stuff in the butt area, but just not to like to actually get fucked. So I didn't want to color any of that. So yeah.
Would you be interested or open to like doing stuff on FaceTime for Chad if you were wanting that?
Doing some FaceTime with Chad? What do you mean?
Like if you were gonna hook up with somebody and you were feeling like, wow, this is feeling so intimate, I'd love to if the guy wanted to like call your boyfriend and like FaceTime so you can share it as a way to keep the intimacy moving with Chad as well at the same time. Just curious how you feel about that.
Yeah, I haven't talked about that with Chad yet. Like if he would want to watch. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of ways to kind of consider that space. And it's just, for me, it's just new. So it's just something that like sat differently with me than how I've traditionally had sex, which is very just like, bam, thank you, ma'am, on your way.
Yeah, I feel for myself, I feel personally, for me, I want to share those things with my partner. If I don't, I end up having the experience almost like it felt when I was in the closet, and I would be doing something and away from my partner. And I know that that's not what's happening now, but the way it feels to me inside, I'm like, I just want to share all this with you now, because I couldn't share things when I was younger. It makes it hotter to me too, to feel like he wants to see something that I want to do.
Yeah. And I don't know that Chad, like in recounting the sexual experience, like, I don't know. I don't know that I've like done and had enough conversation with him about like how intimate it was and how like I didn't really know how to navigate that. Cause it's still new for me to even talk about the sex that we're having with other people. Whereas in my last open relationship, it was like, don't ask, don't tell. So I'm still trying to figure it all out.
I just love that you're sharing about it, and that people can hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other news. I uploaded a YouTube video on my main channel featuring professional dom Jeremy Feist giving dirty talk lessons. You guys can check that out. His basic formula, it's a really great video. It's like 8 minutes long. His basic formula is to describe what you see, prescribe where you want things to go, and then compliment your partner. He, like me, dirty talk doesn't come natural for him. I mean, talking doesn't really come natural for me, let alone dirty talking. So that was his advice. It was interesting though, because I was talking with Matt about this, and Matt, you had another suggestion, another method, which has worked for you that I thought was really creative.
Oh yeah. I was, what is it? Erotic stories. I would read erotic stories to get a better understanding of how to describe things that are sexual and just kind of, I guess, gain a more extensive vocabulary. And that really worked for me. Just learning how to even just describe the things that I wanted, because like we've always said, all we have is porn. And that's probably one of the worst examples to learn from. That just really helped me. Really helped me more than I think standing in front of a mirror would. But
we're getting to that. We're getting to that. Yeah. And I think what's interesting is Jeremy said, like, what doesn't work is telling someone canned lines and being like, okay, now use this. It doesn't come from a place of authenticity. And I think what you're describing isn't to memorize these erotic stories. No. It's really just, you're learning the language.
Exactly.
Yeah. Finn, your concepts that you wrote, they were pretty, some of them read like erotic story. There were moments where I could tell you got really into like how you imagine the scene unfolding, and you'd be like describing like the bottom walking up to the top walking up to the bottom and like sniffing his ass and his thighs, and like you got pretty descriptive about it. Yeah. I cringe every time you describe someone sniffing something.
Do you really?
Yeah, and why?
I love it.
What do you love about it?
Well, Well, what, about smell?
Yeah, yeah.
I just like the way guys smell. I mean, it's not like an extreme fetish. Can some guys are really into like letting smell, linger and get more strong, and that's not what I'm saying. And I just like the way men smell. I like how every guy has a different kind of chemistry, and I love the way armpits smell. I love the way ass and balls smell when they're clean. I don't like the smell of soap, but I just like the way a guy smells, especially his ass. It just drives me crazy.
So an ass that doesn't smell like soap. What does an ass that doesn't smell like soap smell like?
Just like his pheromones, just kind of musky smell. I mean, if he's clean and has good hygiene, it's got like it's fragrant.
Ooh.
I mean, your ass has a smell.
Musty.
No, my ass doesn't have a smell. My ass smells like cupcakes.
I have like Windex on your ass or what? I mean, like
bleach.
Also,
like
bleach. The scent. We've done a scent. I wrote that scent stuff for you a while back too. Like scent is the sense that we have that's like really our root. It connects us to being animals, and we smell people's pheromones even if we're not consciously thinking about it. It's helping us decide if they're a good sex partner just by the way they smell.
I mean, as you say it, like I get it, like intellectually I get it. I guess the question is like, what is my objection to it? Like, do I hate that I'm an animal? Like, why does it so gross me out to smell someone that smells like a human?
Look, I think, that's a good question, and I think it's complex. I don't know, we could just reduce it to one thing, but I do know I have heard
I hate myself. Oh, what?
Well, I've heard people say, it's like a shame thing, like it's like I need to be perfect. And so they're like trying to sanitize everything that they can about themselves and manicure things to try to be good enough. And I think in reaction to that, we see, like the guys that are like, want to like, there's a party in San Francisco called Stank.
Oh, God.
I knew you were going to react. God. I mean, that's like, to me, from like a cultural perspective, it's like a reaction against this idea that we have to manicure ourselves so much to be good enough. They're like, nah, I'm going to be fucking stinky and you're going to like it. And
no, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well,
I think we have the full spectrum of experiences because I'm like, no way. I think Matt's kind of in the middle, and then Finn is very pro.
No, I ain't in the middle on this one thing.
Oh, really? So you don't like the smell of dick either? You think dick? I think dick smells so good.
I like fresh. Like I love you're fresh out the shower. You're clean. You smell clean. I love that. You want to throw on some lotion? Throw on some lotion. I'm fine with all those other smells too. Something scented, great. But when you're like back from the gym and you got a little sweaty or it's been a long day and you've been sitting on your ass, no.
Oh, well, that's different. For me, I don't want to smell like he's been sitting on his ass and hasn't cleaned his ass after he took a shit. I personally like to smell like just the way a guy smells in a natural state, kind of recently showered maybe, but when it smells like a product or even tastes like a product, oh, I hate that. When I go to dick, like soap, I'm like, I got my mouth washed out with soap when I was a little kid for even saying the word sex. I don't want to repeat that experience.
I can say I get it. Like I totally understand where you're coming from. And I also get people that like the smell of things that are sweaty. I'm just not like, it's just so not my thing. And I wonder like why I have such a visceral reaction. Like if I'm hooking up with someone and I smell like what I perceive to be unwashed pits.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm just like,
it's like sour, and it's this
onions. It smells like onions.
Well, there's a difference between bacteria that's like sat there and like, or just like sweaty. Like when I work out, I smell a little strong, but I don't think I just like smell like I haven't bathed in days. That's a different smell.
But then again, everybody smells differently after they work out. Like some people really, they sweat, but they don't really have like an odor. And then there are others where it's strong. It's really strong.
So I don't know how we got here, but we did. Coming back to
we
dirty
live
talk.
Here.
People love it. Some people love it.
Yes. So in conclusion, Jeremy Feist YouTube video about talking dirty. Oh, and the second part of that was he gave me homework, which was I needed to then stand in front of the mirror and talk dirty to myself. And if there was any thought that I had any dignity left in my life, in my soul, it's gone. It's after that video, it was soul sucking. to stand in front of a mirror and describe and prescribe and compliment myself, knowing that like thousands. You didn't finish watching it?
I couldn't do it to you. I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
Yeah, it's on my second channel.
What do you mean you couldn't do it to him?
I just meant like Dave is like my brother, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I feel my chest. I love the way my nipples feel. They feel so good." And I'm just like, I can't watch this. Like, I can't.
I want to see a video. Yeah, I want those fucking sweaty balls in my face.
Oh,
I just snap. I'm like, give it to me.
Smell your fucking nuts, you musty fuck.
I'm gonna smell you dirty jock after football practice. Yeah. Oh God, it's cringy. If you guys do want to see it, it's on Davey Wavey Raw. And the reason I did it, by the way, is because like I wanted to give courage to other people who, like myself, have a hard time talking dirty. Because the idea is like, if I can do this thing that I'm really bad at in front of thousands of people, then for sure, like you at home can also try this a little bit and step into it. So
do you think it helped
other people?
You.
Oh. Yes, it's an act of philanthropy.
It's my community service. Yeah. Did it help me? I think so. Yeah, I think I'm getting there. It's just baby steps for me to do it in a way that like feels authentic. Like when I say things. Also, Jeremy said when he watched that video, he's like, this is your homework. And when you record that video and upload to YouTube, I'm going to watch it with no pants on. And I thought he was kidding. He uploaded a video of him on Twitter watching me do that video jerking off. I don't know if you saw that, but it's on the internet. So that was intense. And it exists out there. So, hey. Anyway, should we talk about this week's video?
That's awesome.
Yeah, while you digest that. It is titled Dream While You Fuck, and it features Finn's favorite, Adam Ramsey, along with Alexander Mecom. When we're actually creating a model section on Himeros TV, since there's been we've worked with like 50 different models, and some people want to see stuff by particular performers, and like if you want to see the Adam Ramsey content, you can click a button. So in his description, I'm going to be like Finn Deerhart's favorite performer. We'll do a little shout out.
He knows that. Does he know that? Does he listen to podcasts?
He does now.
So it's Adam Ramsey and Alexander Mecom. You guys can watch a free preview on Himeros.tv. They're having sex in what's actually an Airstream trailer. I don't know if that was like evident in watching it. And it was out in Joshua Tree. We filmed this over the summer, and while they're having sex, kind of in the middle of it, they speak like their desires and intentions to each other, and their partner. So like, oh, this is what I want in my life, and the other partner then affirms that, and like that was very beautiful. But for me, I think what was more interesting about the video was just how pretty it was, like how beautiful it was to watch these guys fuck in the way that they did, with like intimacy and connection and eye contact. As a kid growing up, like my experience of watching guys fuck was CorbinFisher.com, it was SeanCody.com, and it was such a disconnected way of having sex, which is of course the way that then I went out into the world having sex, that like seeing, I didn't know that people could have sex like this beautifully. And so for me, it's like hard to watch it. Even now, it's like hard for me to watch it without like getting emotional about it.
Wow.
Yeah. I was just wondering how the video sat with you guys, what you thought of it.
I really loved it because, you know, a lot of the content's very tender, I think, on Himeros, but for some reason this one had like the feel to me of like two guys that wanted to connect for a while, getting to make love with each other. Like it was, you know, it was sexy in a way that's raw, but at least something about it felt like there's a connection there that was deeper, just watching them be able to like consummate that kind of connection with each other.
Yeah.
To me. That's what I thought.
I agree with Finn. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought that they were like together in a relationship. It was very connected. It was probably, I mean, we've seen a lot of content where obviously there is a lot of connected sex, but I think in this one really took the cake. I was really impressed. I just kind of sat back like, oh, wow.
It was moving to watch it. And what's even stranger is that like these guys, like, I don't know that they've been in a scene together before. Like that was like probably some of, like they had known each other, I think like for a couple days, and they were able to have sex like that. And it wasn't them like acting or faking it. Like it was, I was there. I was like sitting on the floor watching them do it. And they both just, I think like as a result of the workshop, but also their own like presence and willingness to open up, like really stepped into this incredible space. I think the other video that's similar to this is the one called Discovering Your Erogenous Zones. That was also Alex and Max, which we did a couple months ago, probably, where it was kind of like intercut between them having sex and then a workshop that they did on their erogenous zones. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I think that also that captured like a similar level of like connection and yeah. And it's not to say that these are the only type of videos that like we aspire to do. I think it's also hot to show like the glory hole video that we did a couple weeks ago where there wasn't a lot of intimacy and connection in the same way that there was. It's really showing like the full spectrum and not saying that like one is better than the other, but really showing all the different facets. So I got an email from Brad Amberhart, who is a tantric sex coach who he wrote this concept actually, but he's putting together some ideas for something that we might do in September. And he was saying there's kind of two categories of videos. There's the videos which are more about like teaching someone a specific technique. And then there's the other group of videos that are more about like exciting people and inspiring people. And he said, such videos are intended to excite the living fuck out of men. The models might be super hunky and create cum spurting glee, just like porn. Even if the action in the video may seem to be something that the audience cannot directly access themselves, i.e. like the audience feels old or fat or isolated and can't relate to a hunky model who has lots of cum spurting sex every day, the video still excites them very much. And it comes with a powerful affirmative message. Excite and inspire videos are, in fact, a form of sexual magic because we're juxtaposing super hot sex scenes with an affirmation which can be assimilated while jacking off, which I thought was cool. True. And I think that's kind of what this video is for me. So, all right. Any other thoughts about the video, or should we dive into these questions?
Let's dive into the question.
Yeah, let's do questions.
All right. These are meaty. These are meaty. So, Finn, do you want to take question number one?
Sure. Yeah. I'll do it. Question number one, page 1. As I'm scrolling. Okay. I just listened to the latest Himeros Live, and I wanted to add a different perspective on orgasm without ejaculation, the totally spontaneous version. Last summer, I started doing the pelvic floor exercises pretty regularly, but the version I learned involved more than the PC muscle. It included the anal sphincter and all the pelvic floor muscles. I also read that there are 2 different tempos for the exercises: short, tighten, and release versus long, tighten, and release. Okay. Short, tighten, and release versus long, tighten, and release. Okay, so that's...
So do you think that means like you squeeze and hold will be the long tighten, and then the other one just like, it's like SOS, right? Like the Morse code. Right. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that these 2 different methods help develop different muscles. Yes, and that is true, what you just said. So after I was doing these exercises for about a month, there was a perfect weather day in San Francisco, and I went down to Baker Beach to enjoy it naked. I ditched my clothes, stretched out on my beach towel, and invited the sun and the breeze to make love to my body. I quickly felt aroused, and I had a dry orgasm, and then another one, and another one. The orgasms were flowing in and out continuously like the surf on the shore. This is very literary. They were less intense and more relaxed than conventional orgasms, but every bit as pleasurable. So my body was in ecstasy, and my mind was saying, wait, is this even possible? I've heard of dry orgasms and had experienced one while masturbating a long time ago, and I heard of multiple orgasms, But continuous orgasms, this blew my mind. And they were just keeping on coming without coming for the 2 hours I was on the beach. And even then in the car on the way home. How did he even get home? I should mention that since undergoing radiation treatment for prostate cancer many years ago, I've had erectile dysfunction. My dick gets a little longer and a little firmer when I'm aroused, but it doesn't stand up. And that afternoon at Baker Beach, I discovered one big advantage of ED. I could totally be aroused and have dry orgasms in public and nobody would notice. If someone had been staring at my crotch at close range, they would have seen the muscle spasms. But fortunately, I don't have that kind of body that attracts that kind of attention. So I was sunbathing naked, walking around naked, playing in the water naked, having orgasms the whole time, and my ecstatic secret was safe. And more importantly, I was not violating anyone's boundaries because it's a clothing optional beach. It was one of those rare heaven on earth moments. When I got home and Googled continuous orgasms, I found out that they're more common among women than men, and medical establishment tends to treat them as pathology, the same way that they treat everything else that they don't understand. But I also found online a forum of users, the Himeros prostate massager. The kind of orgasm I experienced that afternoon is very common among the Himeros users. They call it a prostate orgasm or a super orgasm. It's like a supernova. If there's a moral to the story, it's this: the varieties of orgasmic experience are endless. If you keep experimenting and being open to new experiences, you'll often find what you're looking for. And once in a while, something wonderful you never expected will find you. P.S. My young friend who started subscribing to Himeros a few weeks ago absolutely loves the emotionally connected sex that he sees in your videos. He says that they are very healing as well as beautiful. Keep up the good work.
Amazing.
Yeah, super
also,
cool.
Side note, I ordered takeout delivery for dinner, which was supposed to take an hour to come, and they're going to be here in like a minute. So if I have to run to the door, that's why.
I love it.
Yeah, but what a thoughtful, like, you know, I guess technically not a question, but a comment to share. And you almost get this feeling that this like whole world of like orgasms and ejaculations beyond what we're typically taught is like, it's almost this like underground community of like people like trading the knowledge that they know. And like, well, what did you learn? What did you learn?
Yeah.
When you would think that there would be like this would be one of the most interesting things that like that there'd be like countless, you know, volumes of books about this. And and I know there is some, you know, Finn, like you've certainly tapped into some of it, like in the literature that you read, but like, why is all this stuff such secrets?
Yeah, right. It's because it's one of the most disavowed aspects of humanity, I think. And simultaneously, we're obsessed with it, trying to get back to a sense of wholeness. I mean, you can't even like sell anything hardly without sex being the bait and switch, you know?
Right. Like, it's not like trying to like get people to be interested in climate change and this like fighting this uphill battle. And like people seek out sex, you know, constantly. And it's interesting to me that this is so secretive.
Yeah. And, you know, to that point, even like being in the coaching world, the more I learn, the more I think, holy shit, I don't know as much as I thought I did, like all the time. And it's once like relieving because I feel like, there's help out there. And then also just kind of like, it blows my mind that we don't all know about sex and relationships and all kinds of stuff.
All right. So question number, you know what, Matt, do you want to read the next long one? I'm going to grab my sandwich as it comes through the door here.
Okay. What do you guys think about porn while in a relationship? I've always been really self-confident when it comes to sex, so I've never really felt threatened by porn. But if I feel like a lot of guys don't like watching it together. So I was just wondering, what do you guys think?
Dinner's here. Discuss amongst yourselves. Hang on.
I just want to hear the conversation that he has with the delivery guy.
Right. I feel like it's fine to include porn in sex. I will say that in my own relationship, though, that I am still picky about the type of porn that I choose to show my boyfriend that I watch. There's some things that I will only watch with myself.
Girl, what are you getting into? What are you watching?
Listen, that wasn't part of the question. there's just some things that I know that I will watch by myself that I won't watch with him. And I think part of it is because I think that he's not into it. It's also because I think that he kind of kids around with me and speculates that he knows some of the things that I might be into that I'm not yet ready to let him know that I'm into.
Do you think it's going to get harder to share those things like as you're together longer, or do you think like I mean, what's your fear in telling him those things, that he's going to like be repulsed by you or like break up with you?
No, not at all. None of that. I just don't want to talk about it. I'm just not ready to go there yet. And plus it's like, even though you're in a relationship, I think that you still want something for yourself. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like the porn that you like to watch, but I think that for me, there's some porn that I'm like, no, I would just rather watch that by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think I get that in general of like watching porn. Like sometimes I just want to do it by myself or just like jerk off by myself. But I think like those things, those like dirty things that you're secretly into, to me, that's like such an opportunity to like deepen your connection with your partner and like really be vulnerable. And while like, so say it's like getting pissed on, right? Like, let's say it's like water sports. You like enjoy watching water sports porn, and he might not share that fetish, but like, I think there's something really sexy and like sharing that more vulnerable kink that you might have. And even if he doesn't like it himself, he still might like, maybe he doesn't want to get peed on, but he could still like pee on you.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it was something like that, then I would say I agree with you, but it's nothing like that.
Oh my God, girl.
Well, Matthew, to what you were saying, I think what I'm hearing is that like there's a certain pace that you want to disclose things, and you may at some point get to a spot where you want to share it and you may not, but like you want the safety to do that at your own pace versus like immediate disclosure of everything.
Yeah, that too. I mean, like I have, what is it called? That app on my phone, that porn app, my Vidster. So like probably was it last weekend or the weekend before, I caught him on my phone trying to go through my Vidster to get an idea of the videos that I've saved. And it was kind of funny. I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, nothing. And I looked.
Oh, nothing.
And I catch him, and like I was not like upset. Like I was like, well, I mean, at some point you're bound to see it. You're bound to know. But he didn't actually get that far scrolling into things. But I don't know. Like I don't feel like, maybe because he jokes with me about it too, part of me is like, oh, well, I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but in time.
So something else I'm getting in this question is like about porn and relationships, is if you can incorporate the two like together with your partner. And I think like when I have sex in general, it takes me a very long time to come. And like sometimes it's actually pretty difficult for me to come. If that's something that's like on the table or something that we want to do. And I've definitely made peace with like not ejaculating every time I hook up with someone. But whenever I watch porn, I do come. And again, it takes me a little bit of time, but like I am so very much conditioned to like click, find the video I want, whatever the trigger it hits, boom, shoot a load. And so something I've done with Chad a bit is to incorporate the porn that I think is interesting with like the sex that we're having, so that we can be like connecting with each other, but also have this playing. And it like makes it easier for me to come. And it's kind of like a transition. It's like when people go on Nicorette gum, when they're quitting smoking, it's kind of like a intermediary step to wean them off.
Did you just do that intuitively, or is that something that somebody suggested to you?
Well, when we were in Key West at that hotel, they had like 20 porn channels, and we just like started flipping through it. And because it was available to us, and I think it was just like, oh, like let's have that on while we have sex. So it wasn't a suggestion, no.
Well, I think it's a really cool idea. I've done that with my own partner too. I mean, we condition ourselves very heavily with our practices of porn, and for some people it doesn't become an impediment, and for some people it does. And that's a big thing, in sex therapy is like, how do we help somebody recondition themselves without pathologizing what they're doing? Because it's not wrong, it's not bad. It's just like, do you want to have a response in a different kind of way? Yes. Okay. Well, here's how you can do that, and like kind of decondition like a one way. And to this question, I love this question because it can be really helpful in your relationship to have porn as a backup, for like, say you're not getting your needs met at the moment, and you've got this way to it's even self-validating to feel really sexual and turned on, so that can be nice and helpful. And then it can also be a really nice, way to connect with your partner if you utilize it in a fun way. And it can also, at the same time, be a way to distance yourself from your partner. And I see that a lot too. If you have an issue with your partner and you're not communicating about it, and you pull into your own world and just whack off to porn instead of like working through what you need to work through to connect with the partner, then that can become an impediment. So it really kind of depends on who and how they're using the porn.
Yeah, and if you're picking porn over your partner too, right? Like if there, it sounds like there's some of that in this question too. Like if your partner's like choosing to watch porn over having sex with you, to me, like there are moments where I would rather watch porn and jerk off than like actually have sex. But I mean, so long as everyone's needs are still being met, like there's probably a balance there, right?
Totally. Like it's an ongoing negotiation, and like that can be a tactic called avoidance, like I won't really deal with what I'm dealing with. I'll just keep going to this one way. And that kind of creates more of a dynamic, because then the more you condition yourself to be turned on by, sex that's somewhat unrealistic and, idyllic type bodies. And this, you might even develop where you have an aversion sometimes to your partner's body in real life. And that's like on an extreme end, and then there's a lot of people that just feel like, oh, it's just porn, it's just entertainment, and it's in a healthy balance naturally. So I think it depends.
There's also people who think that if their partner watches porn, it's cheating on them. That like, and I mean, there is truth. I think that porn is a form of openness. Like when you're like watching porn, you're fantasizing about other people, about the chemical reactions in your brain are all happening, and I think like it is a form of like sexual openness. It's just interesting for some people that rises to like a level of cheating, and feelings of jealousy can come out of it. But I've seen that I think more with like straight people. But you know how those straights are.
Yeah, it's like monogamy is like on a continuum, right? It's not like, it means different things to different people, and not always does it even mean sexual exclusivity. So I agree with what you're saying. In some couples, if they think that watching porn is cheating, I think that what that highlights in my mind is like there's more security that they need to build with their partner, and that's a window of opportunity to build security with your partner. Instead of just categorically ruling it as like this is cheating, it just kind of illustrates, where you are on the spectrum of like security in the relationship. And I think more than anything, guys just need to talk to each other about what's going on in their real worlds.
But porn can challenge the dynamic of the relationship. Like, what if you have a partner that likes a certain kind of porn, or you find it's always showing you the same kind of people and you look nothing like that? Like that could be something for the other partner that could be hard for them to wrap their mind around. Like, wait a minute, are you really into me? Are you really into this? Like, it could be a little bit of a mind fuck.
I agree. And that, to that point, for what I recommend is that you would want to even more so than reveal that, because then it's like, well, you're keeping me in the loop. Like if my partner really likes something that isn't me, I personally want to know about that. And I want to be really open and honest with me about it. And just like, so I can just be relaxed about it, versus like always wondering, like I'm trying to peek into this like clouded window. Like, what is in there? Like, you're not letting me in. Yeah. But that's me, I can get really anxious if I don't have a sense of closeness and knowing. And some relationships, they like a lot of distance,
Also, what about the flip side of that, which is you find out what porn they like, and that porn like fetishizes like you, and then you're like, well, shit, like am I just a fetish? Am I just addict to that, like whatever. It's like that can be triggering too. Short question, but lots of commentary here. Question.
Very juicy content.
All right, question number 3. Let's get into this because my sandwich smells good.
Not your piss, your sandwich.
My sandwich smells good. Nope, that's right. These are nice and clean and deodorized. I discovered your podcast a couple months ago, and I love it. I am a sex worker on the East Coast of Canada and have lots of travel for work, so the podcast has been great for these long drives. Glad we can help you get through it. I've heard you talk about dirty talk a couple times on the podcast, and right away I thought, you have to talk to a sex worker. And I'm really glad to see that you went ahead and talked to a pro dom. I have been working as an escort on and off for the past 10 years and have to do lots of dirty talk over the years, probably dirty work too. When I started working in my early 20s, I was so uncomfortable with dirty talk, but having a punk look with tattoos, guys wanted me to be verbally dominant all the time and still do. I got a crash course in talking dirty because I had to. It felt really awkward at first, but hey, getting paid to do it is a great motivator. I still warm up in my car on my way to work sometimes just to get into the mood, get used to hearing my voice, talking louder, more aggressively. And I still say things in the moment that have me laughing inside, but I keep my game face on. The wonderful thing is that this aspect of being a sex worker really enhanced my personal sex life. I love talking dirty now, and I am very comfortable and more confident. All those years of practice and trying those things out in those situations where I felt I was acting and doing it all for someone else's fantasy helped me get out of my comfort zone and try some things that I normally wouldn't have done. This carried over into my personal sex life and has really opened me up to new and great experiences. Being a sex worker for so long now has improved my personal sex life in so many ways over the years, and I think it's a shame that a lot of people don't talk about that aspect of the work. I learned how to enjoy topping, appreciate getting off on the pleasure that I give to someone else, talking dirty, keeping hard and controlling orgasm for long periods of time, and communicating and setting boundaries. All of which are like awesome things to incorporate into a relationship. So also last week, you guys mentioned to write in if anyone had tried the technique of squeezing their pelvic muscle when coming. Well, perfect timing for me. I had a regular who wanted me to give him 4 loads, but also only booked an hour. So that including time out 4 orgasms of 45 minutes, all while wearing a balaclava. What is that?
It's the
I saw baklava.
It's the face mask.
Oh,
Face mask.
I thought it was like those like Greek desserts.
I had to Google it.
It's baklava. Yeah, it's tasty.
He then says, "Girl, sex work is work." I had just listened to your podcast where you talked about this technique, so I decided to give it a try and see if it could help me stay hard and draw out my cum over a few orgasms. Well, it definitely helped me out, and I was able to get off 4 times. It was also interesting and different sensation for me when coming. I will definitely be trying that out more in my personal sex life. Plus, my client was very happy. So thanks for the tips, guys. Another paragraph. One last thing. A quick suggestion for a potential scene: a sex worker and a client dynamic. I know lots of people fantasize about this dynamic, and I know many of my clients get off on the idea of paying for sex. I have a client who sometimes yells, "I love paying for sex," as he comes. I know for myself, more often when I was younger and starting out, the dynamic also turned me on and aroused something in me. I think it could be a neat idea, and I'm sure if anyone could do it justice, keeping it hot and fun and still respectful of sex workers and clients, it would be Himeros.tv. That's Himeros.tv. If that does pique your interest and you want to flesh out the idea more, feel free to hit me up. Thanks again for the great podcast. Your frank conversations, humility, and honesty in your episodes have really helped me many times in many ways. So I can say that suggestion about a scene with paying for sex, that dynamic, is actually literally next week's video, which is called Desire on Demand, that Finn wrote.
Yes.
That is a great segue into that. But what a juicy comment.
Yeah. I love paying you for sex. I love that too. That's awesome. I think a lot of people have fantasies around that, it's just, The interesting thing to me is I like to find connections and how it's, for one person, being a sex worker is a way of satisfying the very same needs that somebody that may be completely unrelated, like maybe like a housewife in Texas is doing in her own way to try to like get her needs met. Like some of the psychological mechanisms are the same, even though they're presenting in very different ways. And that's so fascinating to me.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, like everything that we do sexually that really turns us on is a way to create safety for us to express, so when we're aroused, it's a sign that our psychology, our nervous system is relaxed enough to overcome like the inhibitions that we received as children. So, for one person that might be being a sex worker, and it's a way to establish a sense of control and establish a sense of safety for themselves and expression and an exchange of worth, or, there's all kinds of reasons. People do it for all kinds of reasons, but it's the same as, how another person might, have to have a certain kind of relationship with a certain kind of guy because that makes him feel, worthy and good enough to, but these mechanisms are the same, and they're just kind of presenting in different lives in different ways.
I think what this commenter is speaking about with the dynamic and portraying a sex worker. I mean, this was something that you really felt pretty like excited about doing in the video that we filmed a couple months ago. And can you, I guess, like give a little bit of a preview of kind of like what it was that you were thinking about that video?
Yeah, I really wanted to illustrate. So people, I think, in the public that haven't had a lot of exposure to sex workers or even some of the themes, even in the gay community, especially out there in the world, have this association about sex work being this like seedy thing, and it's just like a problem. And I wanted to show that it was, it can be like a compassionate overture. And so we wrote it from this perspective that it was like, is caring and compassionate and meeting needs, and to be grateful for that could exist. And even some of my coaching clients, this is a little bit different than what you asked, but some of the clients that I coach and work on some of the intellectual stuff with that they're working with, I'll refer them to people that I know here that do sex work because they need a particular kind of care and touch and work in that realm. And it's just such a great resource to have. And it makes me so happy that I know there are people doing erotic massage and different types of sex work that I can send some of these people to. They're lonely and they want touch. And that's what we were wanting to bring out in this video in Palm Springs.
Yeah. Have you seen it? Did I show you the finished video?
No, but I saw that it is released next week. No, I didn't see it yet.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I think you'll like it. That video is called Desire on Demand, and we'll chat about it next week. And you guys, of course, can see it at himeros.tv. Finn, where can people find more of you?
FinnDeerhart.com, FINNDERHART.com.
Cool. And if you guys want to attend the block party, it's in New York, right, Matt?
It is in New York City. You can go to lunchdonme.org, or you could just DM me on Instagram.
Slide into those DMs.
Exactly.
DMs.
At Riversma, RIVERSMA.
There you go.
Cool. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, more to come.